And ladies and gentlemen, my guest at this time is an indie pro wrestler out of Georgetown, Kentucky. He's one of the top wrestlers in the blue glass. He is a former UWF heavyweight champion and tag team champion. And this man gave me a shout out on a UWF show a few months back, and it's great to have him on. I'm joined with legendary Larry D right here, right now. What's going on, Larry?
Hey man, what's going on? Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Larry. It's long overdue, man, because I know I've been interviewing a lot of UWF people for quite a while, and it's great to finally have you on. And I thank you. It's an honor to have you on, sir.
I appreciate it. It means a lot.
All right, Larry. Well, I've been a fan of yours for probably a year and a half or 2 years now, so I haven't really had a chance to see you wrestle from the beginning, and I want to get into that. Um, what made you decide to be a wrestler?
Well, it's something that I've always wanted to do. Um, they used to have the NWA, which recently has closed its doors. But it was a promotion started 40 plus years ago, and it was in Georgetown at the time when I was about 6 years old. And my dad came home from work and he saw a wrestling sign out, and so he decides to tell us that we're going to wrestling. I had no idea what wrestling was, not a clue. And we went out there, and um, man, they had like Jimmy Valiant, Doug Vines, a very young Chris Hayes, and I was terrified. Had no idea. And went the first night. First time I came out the curtain, started crying like a little baby. But I fell in love with it, and I told my mom, I said, I'm going to be a pro wrestler. You know, she'll justify that story and tell you that that's the truth. And I did it's something I've always wanted to do, and I got the opportunity to do it, and I've been doing it now since I was 17, and I'll be 30 in January. So I've been blessed to be around for some time to be just 29 right now.
That is awesome, man. It shows longevity. It shows that for like any other wrestler to wrestle that long, and obviously injuries do come into play, but yet here you are, and you're still wrestling. I mean, how does it feel to wrestle for so long? And did you ever thought that you would still be wrestling to this day?
Uh, I, I really didn't when I first got into it. Um, I didn't think I would still be wrestling as long as I did, but once I got myself around the right people in the wrestling business, that actually cared about it, or and they actually put some time into it, and they cared about their craft as opposed to just going to the store and telling someone that they're a pro wrestler. You if you're a pro wrestler, you don't have to tell anyone. You live it and you love it. But it's not something that you have to brag about it, or the first 5 minutes of meeting someone new, tell them, hey, I'm a pro wrestler. You know, um, I do it because I love it. I don't need this. It's so cliche, I guess, to talk about you know being a pro wrestler. But it's just something that I love to do, and it's something that once you get around the right group of people that can guide you and send you in the right direction. And I was fortunate to meet Chris Hayes. I was very fortunate, and I was surrounded by Donnie Green and the Steel, Alan Bear, and Justin Idol. That was a name back a few years ago. He don't wrestle anymore. And those guys really took me in. Scott Hayes. I learned a lot from the Monster Abyss, and those guys. I mean, I didn't really get to hang out with the Abyss too much, but I did get the opportunity to share a locker room for a few times and wrestle some matches with them. And you just pick up little stuff from those people, and it makes you 100 times the professional wrestler that you were prior, before ever meeting guys like that. Because wrestling's so full in this area in Kentucky. It's so full of guys that are, and I'm not cutting on anyone, but they're half trained, and they really have no idea on what's going on. Have no clue about wrestling. It's just one of those. They want to brag about it, and you know, if you love it and you do it, it'll show in your work, it'll show in your ring presence, what kind of wrestler you are, and I hope that I've achieved that.
I definitely can understand where you're coming from as it pertains to, you know, people talk the talk, but when it comes to being in the ring and performing, they don't necessarily walk the walk. I mean,
Oh, there's it's you know, like I said, I'm not cutting on anyone. It's just obvious, you know, and my biggest advice would be to anyone wanting to get in the wrestling business, make sure it's something that you want to do, and don't get out there and make yourself look a fool, or even worse, break your neck. You know, get yourself properly trained and surround yourself with a good group of people, and you should be just fine.
I want to talk about PTW, and I know you wrestled there, but from my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but ain't that your company as well as it you being the promoter, the booker for that company?
Yes, yes. Actually, it's myself and King Hustle. That's my business partner. Primetime Wrestling was a company that started 10 years ago, maybe, and I was very young. At first, you know, my parents were the promoters, and you know they've since gotten out of it. And but now that I've opened it back up, I took it on myself, and now brought Daryl in as my partner, and it's just been great. It really has. We've opened it back up for about the last 2.5 years, and you know it just seems like it's growing more and more each month, each week. We're always doing something every day. We're always talking on the phone about what we can do to make it better, what we can do to expand the product, and I'd really like to see people who haven't been to a primetime wrestling show to come out and check one out, because I think that we're making a lot of noise on this side of the state, and you know, hopefully we can get some people there, get some people in to see what we offer. We got a lot of great talent, a lot.
I can definitely concur with that. I've been to a PTW show before. I've been to one show when y'all was at Lexington. I think one or two shows, and you was at both shows as well. And nowadays, y'all moved to a new area of Kentucky. I forgot the exact name of the city. Is it Maxonville, Kentucky?
Yeah, it's a place outside of Springfield and Willisburg. It's called Maxville, Kentucky.
Maxville,
And
Kentucky. Okay.
yeah, that's where we decided to move to. Lexington just wasn't working out for some reason. I felt like we had a great venue at the Four Seasons Gym, and it just, you know, I don't know if Lexington, unless you're WWE, you know, I don't know. Lexington's always been a terrible draw for anyone that's tried to promote there. And you know, we went out there with a bang and gave them pretty good shows. We had Nick Eugene Dinsmore up there at one point, and super great guy, by the way. If you ever get a chance to see him wrestle, see him work, he's really phenomenal at what he does, and he's also a great guy to bring into any show. I would highly suggest him for any promoter or booker out there looking for someone. Um, but Lexington just wasn't working, and we went to a place called Macville, and I had no idea what it was. Dale took me out there, and we looked at the place, and I was like, geez, almighty. And we're in the middle of nowhere, but we went, and the first night we were sold out. We were in the newspaper. I mean, there's never been wrestling there before. And we'll return back there on Saturday night, October the 26th. So and then we've got, you know, Stan Sierra on that show. We got myself, and we got Chris Major. I mean, it's looking really good, and you know, Macville's a really exciting town. It's a small town, like one street. So when those people come out, it seems like the whole town's in there, and it's just an exciting place to be.
So when exactly is the next primetime wrestling show that y'all got coming up?
The next primetime wrestling show will be next Saturday night, and that's on October the 12th. It's at the Harrodsburg National Guard Armory, and that's actually one of our bigger cards that we've got. We've got a couple debuts coming in, seasoned veterans coming in. The main event will be Sexy Stan Sierra, which is the PTW champion, against Brian Beach, and that should be a really phenomenal match. And also making his debut will be Vic the Bruiser. I'm sure plenty of people around the area, around the states, know who Vic the Bruiser is, and he's going to be wrestling against Chucky Smooth. So another big card lined up, and that also starts. We're doing internet television tapings that night, and we're starting to grow and we're starting to move forward. So hopefully we can get the word out there because we got some really great guys coming in.
Primetime Wrestling coming to you a week from this Saturday. Make sure y'all check that out. Support your local pro indie wrestling shows out there. A city near you. Spread the word. Post it on, promote it on Facebook, Twitter, social media, word of mouth. Tell your friends, your families. Just spread the word out, y'all. Just help these companies out. Show them that indie pro wrestling is up and popping, man, and that's good to hear, man. How is it to be in control of your own wrestling company compared to you just being a wrestler on other shows?
Uh, it's a lot more stressful. I will say that, but it's a new challenge. It's something that I felt like I wasn't ready for the first go around. This go round, I feel like I'm a little bit more prepared. I've had the opportunity to wrestle for what I feel like are two of the best promoters that I've ever wrestled for. And first and foremost will be Chris Hayes with the NWA. He took me in under his wing. I've traveled to a lot of shows with Chris, and I kind of picked his brain a little bit on how to do things. And if anybody out there is listening that was a fan of the NWA, I kind of took PTW and kind of blended an NWA mix into it. And I mean, that's because I was part of NWA for so long. And we just, it's a really great show. It's a good time. It's very stressful. I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, you got to get your venues booked. You got to get your guys to shows. You got to know your budget and, you know, just getting your advertisements out, making sure that your posters are getting shared online. And, you know, as far as the flip side to being a wrestler, and I can easily say with the roster that I have, I could call it any of those guys at any time and ask for anything as far as putting a poster up or helping with the ring set up, putting some chairs down, anything I can ask, I know that they would do. And that makes it a little less stressful. But we're moving along, but it's very stressful. I'm glad that I have Daryl there with me. He's, you know, it's not you know, it's not a wrestling storyline that he's my best friend. It's really true. And I would rather not have a partnership in PTW with anyone except Daryl, because I mean he fully trusts my opinion. He knows that I've been around the wrestling business a lot longer than he, and he just trusts me. He trusts my judgment and listens, and I'm really fortunate to have someone like that by my side.
I can definitely understand that being in charge of your own company can definitely be a handful, but it's good to see that you got people that's willing to help you out, elevate your company, and I feel like PTW is one of the most must see indie wrestling shows in the bluegrass. I mean, I've been to one and I enjoyed it, and y'all do a great job, and I hope y'all continue success out there in PTW. Um, so on to UWF because I seen you the most on their company, and I feel like ever since you debuted there, I feel like you have elevated that company even more. It's like when Larry D is on the card, everybody is like I gotta step my game up because I feel like without a doubt you're one of the top wrestlers that I've ever seen, and I've been watching indie shows for a couple of years now, and every time I see Larry D on the show, you elevate the match that you're on. You elevate that show overall, and I got a lot of respect for you, Larry. And how does it feel to be working with the UWF, especially being in Georgetown where you live?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good. I mean, there for a while, myself in the office there had a rocky road, but fortunately, we got to hash our little issue out, and yeah, I live 3 minutes from the UWF building, literally. And my parents get to come out there. It's right around the block. My parents get to come. My kids come. Uh, they're starting to move some talent in and out of there, and hopefully things continue to build. I was told that they've signed 2 more years on the lease. So um, as far as elevating the show, I think that they still got guys over there like Chris Majors is a up and coming wrestler that I've seen take off from being a mid card opening or not even on the show type of guy to being a major player over here. And the people in Georgetown have got to see that development of Chris Majors, and it's something that I'm fortunate to get to be with the guys that are willing to do the little things that maybe some other guys wouldn't, and it makes me feel good to know that someone thinks that if I'm on the show, they need to step their game up. So if anything, that's something that makes me happy. That's something that makes me feel good about how hard I've worked, and hopefully other guys can do the same, and we'll just start to make wrestling in Kentucky grow again. Back when I started my wrestling in Kentucky, I always drew good crowds. There was never any low crowds, and now you look around and you got 40 and 30 people at some shows, and there's no advertising, there's no posters, there's no, not even word of mouth. I mean, it's almost people aren't interested anymore, and that all goes back to being half trained and not really putting forth everything you got. So hopefully, whether it's GWS, PTW, WCCW, wherever, hopefully when someone sees me that they would know at the end of the night that I gave them everything I had, and hopefully everyone else will do that, and the shows will prosper and get some people back on in the chairs again.
Absolutely, man. And there's one more thing I want to bring up before I let you go. And you know what I'm going with this. I mentioned this on the show a little bit earlier in the hour. It was back in August of this year. I was in attendance. Me and my friend Damien, aka Day Day, we in the show. We in the audience. Having a good time. You in the main event versus Ravishing Ronnie Roberts. And after the match, you and Majors, and of course Wani and ATM, y'all had a rivalry at the time. Y'all went at it verbally, and out of nowhere, you gave me and Damien a shout out. Came out of nowhere, and we was just like, "Yeah, Larry just gave us a shout out." So that was probably the most fun I've ever had at a wrestling show. I mean, I never thought and for the record, people, I didn't know that shout out was coming. Okay, it was just out of the blue, came out of nowhere. I'm just sitting up, watching the show like everybody else, and Larry just pointed me and Damien out, and I was just honored and you was the champion at that time, and that means a lot, and I appreciate that, Larry. I posted my thoughts on it, and you also mentioned your mom. I hope she's feeling a lot better health wise. But I just want to say, Larry, thank you for that shout out. Thank you for that moment. As a wrestling fan, I will treasure that for the rest of my life. I just want to say thank you again for that moment. I appreciate it.
It was, that's what we're there for. I mean, uh, I'm glad that I get to know and meet some of the people like yourself that come to these shows. I mean, there's an interaction that I like to have with the fans and with everyone that comes to the shows. Now, if they decide to boo or cheer whoever they want, and that's they pay their hard-earned dollar to do that. And I like to give back to the people that do spend that gas money to get in that door, and they do spend that ticket money to come through and sit in that chair. So, you know, like I say, I was a fan at one time myself. I used to go to wrestling, travel around, following shows. I went from, you know, as far as Georgetown to BBW. They'd run way down in Bardstown, the Louisville area, and, Shelbyville, Shelby County. We would follow those and come back and we would watch it every Sunday here in Georgetown. So I know what it's like to be a fan and I would see just people itching to talk to wrestlers, itching to be recognized, and heck, I was one of them. And that's something I like to do. It's something that I want. I want many more people like you coming to me and saying, you know what, that really made my day. I appreciate that, and it's something that I'll continue to do. I want people to enjoy coming to a wrestling show. I want people to enjoy spending their money on something in a tough economy. I mean, our government's shut down, but we got people who are itching and scratching for a dime and a dollar, and we still got them coming to wrestling shows because they love it just as much as we do performing. And I just feel like that's just a huge thing for me to do is to relate back to the fans and give back to the fans and hope that they left and got their money's worth, because I know how hard it is. I'm a single dad. I know I live paycheck to paycheck, and it's just we got to do what we got to do. But I mean, when I see someone out in that crowd that's there consistently, that's there every time I'm there, and I can't help but to give the love back because I was right there in them seats as well. And it's something I'll continue to do till Carter takes over. So hopefully he'll continue that when he wrestles if he decides to go that route.
Well, all I can say, Larry, is keep up the great work. Everybody check out Primetime Wrestling. They are on Facebook. Check them out at Primetime Wrestling. And you can also check out Larry at UWF Sundays at Georgetown, 150 Edwards Avenue. The doors are, let's see, open at 6. Bell time is at 6:30. That's at Georgetown. United Wrestling Federation. Look it up on Facebook. And Larry, again, thank you for being on the show. And hopefully, when I get my stuff together, you'll see me more often in Georgetown, and maybe sometime down the road I'll take a trip to Macville for a PTW show as well. But I want to thank you for being on the show this evening.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. It was my pleasure. And anytime you feel like coming to a PTW show, if it's Harrodsburg or Macville, just give me a holler and I'll get you in there, no problem. And heck, if we can set it up somewhere in Harrodsburg, if you want to do a live feed from there or something, feel free. Just I know how much you love wrestling just as much as we do. So if there's anything I can do to help you or Triple Threat Wrestling, just let me know, and I'll be glad to do it.
Absolutely, man. I'll definitely keep you posted. Thank you for your time, Larry. You have a good night.
You do the same. I appreciate it, man.
All right, bye-bye.
All right,
That was legendary Larry D joining me this evening on Triple Threat Wrestling Radio, and I just